Okay, even if your kiddos are little, this next segment is definitely one to tune into. When it comes to planning for college, it is never too soon or too late to get it right. But the process can be complicated, don't I know it? And many parents get lost in the paperwork, which can cost you thousands of dollars. And that's where college planner Kevin Campbell comes in. Kevin, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you heard us talking earlier about the worst degrees to get. I just want to give you the rest of that list. It's education, fine arts, and sociology. So, yeah, it really does matter, I think,
Certainly.
what you study as well.
Absolutely it does.
But when you when you decide what you're studying, you're in college, there are ways to save money on that final bill.
Sure. Some of the things that we talk about a lot are making sure you apply to enough schools. This year, our rising seniors that are starting their college admissions process now will be applying to our recommendation is to apply at least to 10 schools.
What if they don't want to, what if there aren't 10 schools that they're interested in?
Well,
doesn't matter?
The problem is college admissions are so competitive these days that what we find is if you only apply to a couple of schools, there's a good chance you may not get into either of them. And we've seen that happen sometimes with students who don't follow our processes. If they don't apply to enough schools, they run the risk of A, not being able to afford to go to that school if they're needing aid to go and they don't get a good aid offer, or B, just not getting in.
So do your top 10 list, and then also, do you recommend applying to private schools?
I do. We often send students to private schools for similar cost as public schools, or in some cases lower than public schools.
Where were you? Really? Where were you 3 years ago for me? Even the more expensive private schools?
Yes, you mentioned earlier you've got a student at SMU,
Yeah.
and we have some students at SMU as well, and they've gotten some pretty significant financial aid awards.
Is there a way to negotiate the cost with the school?
That depends on the school. Some schools will negotiate. If you give them, well, negotiation probably isn't the right word to use, but some schools, if you can give them a competing offer from a similar school, they may, if the school wants that student, they may come back and counter with another offer to try to attract that student back. Keep in mind that all financial aid is used to entice a student to attend a school.
Right. Do athletics play into that as well?
Oh, certainly, certainly. And when you're dealing with athletics, it certainly adds another level of complication in there. The admissions process, particularly for D1 schools, when you're talking athletics, becomes drastically different than standard students.
Right. What about their testing scores, like ACT, SAT? How important are those?
Incredibly important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. We recommend our students actually will start prepping for SATs and ACTs typically no later than their sophomore year of high school.
And you can take the test as many times as you want,
Certainly.
can't you?
There used to be this connotation out there that you don't want to take those tests more than once. You want to take it once and send it off to the schools, and that's not at all accurate.
Of course, you have to pay every time you take it. But
Certainly. But those test scores are incredibly important. They are going to be one of the biggest determining factors in how much merit aid you'll get from a school.
Yeah. What about FAFSA? Filling out those FAFSA forms that made me want to pull my hair out, but it's so important.
They're very, very complicated, and we see people make mistakes on them all the time. I just had a lady in my office the other day who was trying to figure out why she wasn't getting any financial aid based on their income and assets. And I asked her to show me her FAFSA so I could review it, and she had made a ton of mistakes in her FAFSA. She's an accountant. So if that gives you an idea of the level of complication in this, is she's a practicing accountant and made tons of mistakes in her FAFSA just because she doesn't understand the rules.
Yeah.
And the problem is most people treat their FAFSA like they treat their tax returns. So they're doing it the night before it's due.
At the last minute,
right, in a hurry.
Is there somebody who we can call for help with that? Can we call you, for instance?
All of our clients, we process their FAFSAs every year, just like a CPA does their tax returns.
So how does the process work with you? We call you up, you take us on as a client, and we pay you a fee to help step us through the whole process?
Typically, yes, and not everybody's a fit for us, just like we're not a fit for everybody, but we typically only take 6 to 8 clients per month on. So we're somewhat selective because we can't help everybody, and it makes no sense to bring on somebody that we really can't help. But a lot of families we can provide a lot of help to.
What about someone like me who already has children in college? Would it be helpful for me to come and visit with you for the next years?
It may. And that's one of those things where we'd have to review your situation and see if there's anything that we can do from a financial management standpoint to help with try to reduce some of those costs and perhaps find some financial efficiencies there.
Do you have to fill out the FAFSA forms every year?
Every year.
Okay.
Yes, for every student. So it becomes a very time-intensive process.
It's so good to know that somebody is there, though, to take a little bit of the burden away. I'm definitely getting your card during the commercial break.
So some of the things that are happening right now is the Stafford loan program. If you've been following the news over the next couple of weeks, unless Congress takes some action, they're going to be doubling the interest rates on some of the student loans.
Oh, wow.
And this comes at a really interesting time. The Congressional Budget Office just released a few days ago that the federal government is going to make more profit, keep that in mind, profit on student loans this year than Exxon is.
Will you come back and talk to us more about that?
Absolutely.
I think I would definitely have more questions about that.
Certainly.
How that affects everything. Thank you for being here. You can get more details on how to pay for college without going broke at 2 upcoming workshops, and they're both free. This is great news. The first one is Tuesday, July 23rd at 6:30 p.m. at the Colleyville Center, and the next one is on Thursday, July 25th, also at 6:30 at the Keller Lions Club. Register at collegeplanningauthority.com. If you missed any of this, we will have it on our website as well.